The title company called and said, "We're ready to close on your property sale. Your son said you'd be signing remotely due to your health condition." I said, "What sale? I'm not selling anything." The agent's voice changed. "He's here right now with a buyer. He said you're in hospice and he has full power of attorney. You need come to this office immediately." I hung up and called the police. When we arrived together, my son was shaking hands with a developer, ready to sell my home for half its value and pocket the difference. Before we continue, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to hear my story. If you're comfortable, let me know where you're listening from, and what time it is where you are. Now let me tell you my story. I was on my knees in my garden, pulling weeds from around my tomato plants when my phone rang. It was a beautiful Wednesday morning in Charlotte. Mid-September, still warm but with that first hint of fall in the air. The kind of day that made me grateful I'd retired 3 years ago from my accounting firm. Grateful I could spend my mornings doing exactly what I wanted. I pulled off my gardening gloves and checked the phone. Unknown number. Local area code. Normally I'd let it go to voicemail, too many spam calls these days. But something made me answer. "This is Lorraine Mitchell." "Mrs. Mitchell, this is Karen Bradley from Carolina Title Services." The woman's voice was professional, friendly. "We're ready to close on the sale of your property at 4078-2 Magnolia Drive. Your son said you'd be signing the documents remotely due to your health condition, but I wanted to confirm the arrangements with you directly." I stood up, brushing dirt from my knees. "I'm sorry, what sale? I'm not selling my house." A pause. "You not? But your son Terrence is here right now with the buyer. He said you're in hospice care and unable to travel for the closing." My blood went cold. Hospice care? I'm not in hospice. I'm perfectly healthy. I'm standing in my garden right now, and I never authorized any sale. I certainly never gave my son power of attorney to sell my house. Karen's voice changed completely. The professional friendliness was gone, replaced by alarm. "Mom, if that's true, we have a very serious problem. Your son is in my conference room right now with a buyer, about to sign closing documents to sell your house for $285,000. $285,000? My house was worth at least $550,000. I knew because I'd had it appraised 6 months ago when I was updating my will. That's less than half what it's worth. He said you needed the money urgently for medical bills and care facility deposits. He showed us medical documents indicating you have terminal cancer and are in hospice in Florida. I don't have cancer. I've never been to Florida. And I'm standing here in Charlotte in my own garden. Mrs. Mitchell, you need to come to this office immediately, and I think you should call the police." I hung up and stood there for a moment, trying to process what I'd just heard. My son Terrence was at a title company right now pretending I was dying, trying to sell my house without my knowledge. Terrence, my 42-year-old son who hadn't held a steady job in 5 years, who'd started 3 different businesses that all failed within months, who I knew had a gambling problem but had no idea how bad it had gotten. Terrence was trying to steal my house. I called 911 first. 911, what's your emergency? My son is trying to fraudulently sell my house. He's at a title company right now with fake documents claiming he has power of attorney because I'm dying. I'm not dying. He's committing fraud. The dispatcher took the information quickly. "We're sending officers to Carolina Title Services right now." "Ma'am, you should go there yourself if you're able. I'm on my way." I called my daughter Shayla next. She lived in Raleigh, about 2 hours away, but she needed to know what her brother was doing. "Mama? What's wrong?" Shayla could always tell from my voice when something was wrong. "Your brother is trying to steal my house."
"What?"
I explained quickly. The call from the title company, Terrence claiming I was in hospice, the fraudulent sale. "I'm coming right now," Shayla said. "Don't sign anything, don't do anything until I get there. The police are meeting me at the title company. I'm leaving right now." "Mama, be careful. If Terrence is desperate enough to do this, I don't know what else he might do." I grabbed my purse and my car keys, found my driver's license, my property deed. I kept a copy in my filing cabinet specifically for situations like this, and a recent utility bill with my name and address. Proof that I was alive. That I owned this house. That I was Lorraine Mitchell, not some dying woman in a Florida hospice. The drive to Carolina Title Services took 20 minutes. It felt like 20 hours. My mind was racing the whole time. How long had Terrence been planning this? Where did he get fake medical documents? How did he forge a power of attorney? And why? What was so desperate that he'd try to steal his own mother's house? I thought about the last few months. Terrence had been coming around more often, being unusually helpful, offering to take out my trash, fix things around the house, run errands. I thought he was finally growing up, being more responsible. But he'd been planning this, learning my routines, going through my papers when I wasn't looking. My son had been planning to steal everything I'd worked 40 years to build. 2 police cars were already in the parking lot when I arrived. 2 officers, 1 black man about 35, 1 black woman about 30 were standing by their vehicles. I parked and got out. They approached me. "Mrs. Mitchell?" the male officer asked. "I'm Officer Davis. This is Officer Thompson. You're the one who called about the real estate fraud?" "Yes. My son is inside trying to sell my house using fake documents, claiming I'm in hospice and he has power of attorney. Do you have identification proving you're the property owner?" I showed them my driver's license, the property deed, the utility bill. Officer Thompson examined the documents. "These all check out. You're definitely Lorraine Mitchell, owner of 4702 Magnolia Drive. Let's go inside and stop this transaction." We walked into the building together. The reception area was tastefully decorated, professional but welcoming. A young woman at the desk looked up, saw the police officers, and her eyes went wide. "We need to speak with Karen Bradley," Officer Davis said. "She's in conference room B, with a closing." The receptionist was staring at me like she'd seen a ghost. Through the glass walls of the conference room I could see them. Terrence, my son, sitting at a large table. He was wearing a suit, probably borrowed or rented, since I knew he didn't own one. He was laughing about something, completely relaxed. Across from him sat a white man in an expensive suit, maybe in his 50s. The buyer, presumably. At the head of the table was a woman I assumed was Karen Bradley. White, mid-40s, professional looking. She had a stack of documents in front of her. Terrence was signing papers. The man was writing a check. They were closing the sale. Right now, in real time. Officer Davis opened the conference room door. "Excuse me, we need to stop this transaction immediately." Everyone looked up. Terrence saw me, saw the police officers behind me. All the color drained from his face. He looked like he might faint. "Mom?" His voice came out as a strangled whisper. "What are you doing here?" "I live here, Terrence. In Charlotte. Not in a hospice in Florida." The man in the expensive suit stood up, confused. "What's going on? Who are these people?" Officer Thompson stepped forward. "I'm Officer Thompson with Charlotte PD. This is Mrs. Lorraine Mitchell, the actual owner of the property you're trying to purchase. She's not in hospice, she's not dying. She didn't authorize this sale, and she never gave her son power of attorney to act on her behalf." The man, I'd learn later his name was Richard Paulson, a local developer, turned to Terrence. "You said your mother was dying. You showed me medical documents, hospice admission forms, power of attorney papers. You said she was in a care facility in Tampa Bay and couldn't travel for the closing." Officer Davis held out his hand to Karen. "Can we see those documents, please?" Karen pushed them across the table, her hands shaking slightly. "Here's everything Mr. Mitchell provided. Power of attorney, medical records, hospice admission forms." Officer Davis examined the power of attorney first. It looked official, proper legal language, notary seal, all the right formatting, in my signature at the bottom. Except it wasn't my signature. "Mrs. Mitchell, is this your signature?" I looked closely. It was similar to my signature. Same first letters, same general shape, but the loops were wrong. The slant was wrong. Someone had practiced my signature and done a decent job, but it wasn't perfect. "No, that's not my signature. That's a forgery." There were also medical documents. A letter from a hospice facility in Tampa Bay, admitting one Lorraine Mitchell for end-of-life care. A doctor's report detailing my supposedly terminal pancreatic cancer. Prognosis 2 to 3 months. All completely fabricated. "I don't have cancer," I said firmly. "I've never been to Tampa Bay. I've never been in hospice. These documents are completely fake." Terrence was stammering, his face white as a sheet. This is a misunderstanding. "Mom, I was trying to help." "Help?" I turned to face him directly. "By selling my house without my knowledge or permission? You're getting older. You can't maintain this big house by yourself. I was trying to help you transition to a smaller place." "I'm 68 years old, Terrence. Not 90. I maintain my house just fine. I have a housekeeper who comes twice a month and a handyman for anything I can't do myself. I don't need you to transition me anywhere." Richard was looking at Terrence with dawning horror. "You told me your mother was dying. You said she wanted to sell the house quickly to pay for medical care. You said she was in too much pain to travel. You looked me in the eye and lied. Officer Davis was examining the sales contract. The agreed upon price is $225,000. Karen nodded. Yes. Mr. Mitchell said his mother needed cash quickly and was willing to sell below market value for a fast closing. What's the actual market value of this property? Officer Thompson asked. Karen pulled up something on her laptop. Based on recent comparable sales in this neighborhood, the house should be listed for $525,000 to $575,000. I told Mr. Mitchell this, but he insisted his mother wanted a quick sale and was willing to take a significant loss. I did the math in my head. My house was worth at least $550,000. Terrence was selling it for $285,000, a loss of $265,000. Where was that money going to go, Terrence? The difference between what my house is actually worth and what you were selling it for. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Officer Thompson asked the question. I was thinking, Mr. Mitchell, why did you need to sell your mother's house so urgently? And why below market value? Terrence didn't answer. The conference room door burst open. Shayla rushed in, breathless. Mama, are you okay? She hugged me tightly, then turned on Terrence. What did you do? What the hell did you do? Shayla, stay out of this. Stay out of it. You tried to steal Mama's house. You forged documents. You told people she was dying. Officer Thompson tried again. Mr. Mitchell, I'll ask one more time. Why did you need this money? Shayla answered for him. He gambles. Online poker. Sports betting. Trips to the casino. He's been doing it for years. And he's in debt. Serious debt. I looked at my son. How much debt? Terrence? It's not that bad. How much? His voice was barely a whisper. $200,000. Maybe a little more. The room went completely silent. $200,000 in gambling debt. That's why he was trying to steal my house. To pay off loan sharks and bookies and online gambling sites. $200,000, I repeated. My voice sounded distant, like it was coming from someone else. You owe $200,000 to gamblers? I had some bad luck, Terrence said defensively. But I can make it back. I just need one good win. One good streak and I can pay everyone back. That's what addicts say. Shayla interrupted. That's what you've been saying for 10 years. Just one more bet. Just one more game. I'll win it all back. But you never do, Terrence. You just lose more. Officer Davis was still looking at the sales contract. Who do you owe this money to? Different people. Bookies. I know. Online gambling sites. Some private lenders. Loan sharks. The kind of people who broke legs when you didn't pay. Are they threatening you? I asked. They want their money. Soon. They've made it clear there will be consequences if I don't pay. So you decided to steal my house to pay your gambling debts. I wasn't stealing. You'd still get some money. I was going to give you $100,000 of the sale. $100,000. Out of $285,000. Where was the rest going? To pay my debts. To get these people off my back. And then I'd pay you back more later. Once I got back on my feet. Shayla was staring at him with disgust. You were going to steal $95,000 from your own mother to pay loan sharks. And then what? Gamble more? Chase your losses? Get into more debt? Karen spoke up quietly. Actually, the breakdown Mr. Mitchell showed me was different. The $85,000 sale price minus approximately $8,000 in closing costs minus a $50,000 care facility deposit, leaving about $27,000 for Mrs. Mitchell. Officer Thompson looked at Karen. What care facility? He said Mrs. Mitchell would need the money for her hospice care and funeral expenses. He asked us to wire $50,000 directly to a facility. But there is no care facility, I said. No, Officer Thompson agreed. The $50,000 was going directly to him. Terrence looked trapped. Caught. I need that money. These people aren't playing around. They've already threatened to hurt me. Then you should have come to me. I said. You should have asked for help. We could have figured something out. Treatment, bankruptcy. Something. Would you have given me $200,000? No. I wouldn't give you money to throw away on more gambling. But I would have helped you get treatment. Helped you deal with your creditors. Helped you as a mother, not as an ATM. See? That's why I couldn't tell you. You wouldn't have helped. Helping you isn't funding your addiction. Officer Davis pulled out handcuffs. Mr. Mitchell, where did you get these forged documents? The power of attorney. The medical records. Terrence looked at the floor. I know a guy. He does documents. IDs, birth certificates, medical records, whatever you need. He's very good. How much did you pay for these forgeries? $5,000. I felt like I'd been slapped. You paid $5,000 to have fake documents created so you could steal my house. Where did you get $5,000? Shayla asked. You're unemployed. You don't have any money. Terrence's voice got even quieter. I took out a title loan against Mom's car. My car. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You took out a loan against my car? I forged your signature on the title. Got $5,000 at 25% interest. I needed the money to pay for the documents. Shayla put her hand on my shoulder. Oh my God. Terrence? Officer Thompson moved toward him. Terrence Mitchell, you're under arrest for forgery, fraud, identity theft, and attempted grand larceny. She started reading him his Miranda rights as Officer Davis pulled his hands behind his back and handcuffed him. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Mom, please. Terrence was crying now. Please don't let them arrest me. I'm your son. You tried to steal my house. I was desperate. These people are going to kill me if I don't pay. They've already threatened to break my legs. They're serious people, Mom. This isn't a game. My heart twisted. Despite everything, despite the forgery, the lies, the attempt to steal my home, he was still my son. I'd given birth to him, raised him, loved him, but he tried to destroy my life to fund his addiction. You should have asked for help, Terrence. Real help, not tried to steal from me. Would you have given me $200,000 to save my life? No, but I would have helped you get treatment. Helped you file for bankruptcy. Helped you negotiate with your creditors. We could have found a way that didn't involve stealing my house. I wouldn't have just handed you money to gamble away or pay off debts you'd run up again in 6 months. See? That's exactly why I had to do this. You wouldn't help. Helping you doesn't mean enabling your addiction. Officer Thompson started walking him toward the door. Let's go, Mr. Mitchell. Richard, the developer, stood up. Mrs. Mitchell, I want you to know I had absolutely no idea this was fraudulent. Your son showed me legal documents, power of attorney, medical records, property deed. Everything looked legitimate. I thought I was helping a dying woman sell her house to pay for end-of-life care. If I'd known the truth, I never would have participated. I'll tear up this contract immediately. Obviously the sale is void. Thank you, I said. I appreciate that. Karen was gathering up the fraudulent documents. Mrs. Mitchell, I'm so sorry. We should have verified more thoroughly. When someone presents power of attorney and medical documents, we typically trust that they're legitimate. It's not your fault, I said. My son can be very convincing when he wants to be. After they led Terrence out, I sat down heavily in one of the conference room chairs. Shayla sat beside me holding my hand. Are you okay, Mama? No, but I will be. We spent the next hour at the title company going through everything Terrence had set up. Karen showed us the complete file. Terrence had first contacted them 3 weeks ago saying his mother was dying and wanted to sell her house quickly. He'd brought medical documents, the fake hospice admission forms, the doctor's letters about my terminal cancer, all of it professionally forged. He'd brought a copy of my driver's license. When had he gotten that? Remember last month when you couldn't find your wallet? Shayla asked. You thought you'd left it at the grocery store, but then it turned up in your purse the next day. He stole it, I said, made copies of my ID, then put it back so I wouldn't notice. Karen showed us more documents from the file. Utility bills with my name and address. Property tax statements. The mortgage payoff letter from when I paid off my house 8 years ago. Where did he get all this? I asked. Your filing cabinet, Shayla said. In your home office. He has a key to your house. Remember? You gave him one years ago in case of emergencies. He's been in my house, going through my personal files. Planning this. The violation of it made me feel sick. Officer Davis came back into the conference room. Mrs. Mitchell, we need you to come to the police station to give a full statement. We'll need details about the forgery, the fraudulent documents, everything. Of course, we also found something in your son's apartment when we picked him up. A one-way plane ticket to Guadalajara, Mexico, leaving tomorrow morning. I felt like I'd been punched. He was going to leave the country, looks like it. He was planning to take the money and run. Mexico doesn't have an extradition treaty with the US for financial crimes. He could have lived there indefinitely on $150,000. What about me? I asked. What was I supposed to do while he was in Mexico with my money? Officer Davis looked grim. That's what we'd like to know. At the police station I was interviewed by Detective Williams, a black woman in her mid-40s who worked in the fraud division. She took me through everything chronologically. When had I first heard about the sale? What exactly had Karen from the title company said? What happened when I arrived at the closing? She showed me evidence photos from Terrence's apartment. The fake hospice wristband with my name on it. A blank death certificate, ready to be filled in. Death certificate? My voice shook. We believe he was planning to fake your death after the sale. Make it look like you died shortly after signing over the house. Then he'd be the grieving son who sold his dying mother's house to pay for her end-of-life care. No one would question where you went because officially you'd be dead. Shayla gasped. He was going to fake Mama's death? What was she supposed to do? Just disappear? We found internet searches on his computer, Detective Williams said. How to fake someone's death. How to get false death certificates. Countries without extradition. How to make someone disappear without committing murder. We think he was planning to threaten you, Mrs. Mitchell. Tell you that he'd already reported you as dead. That if you tried to fight it you'd spend years trying to prove you were alive while he enjoyed your money in Mexico. Or he was going to force you to actually leave. Move to another state. Cut off contact with everyone you know. Essentially disappear. Either way you'd be erased. He'd have your money, and no one would come looking for you because officially you'd be dead. I couldn't speak. Couldn't process what I was hearing. My son, the baby boy I'd nursed and raised and loved, had planned to erase me from existence. There's more, Detective Williams said gently. We contacted the people he owes money to. The bookies, the loan sharks, all of them. He doesn't owe $200,000. I looked up. What? He owes $85,000? Still a lot of money but nowhere near what he told you. He was going to steal $105,000 from you. Pay off his $85,000 in debts and keep the remaining $100,000 for himself. He lied about how much he owed? Shayla asked. Yes. Inflated the number to make himself seem more desperate. More sympathetic. I have to do this or they'll kill me. But really he was planning to pay his debts and pocket the difference. Probably gamble with it. One more big score to win it all back. I felt like I was going to be sick. My son hadn't just been desperate. He'd been calculating. Manipulative. He'd planned every detail of how to steal my house, fake my death and disappear with my money. What happens now? I asked. He's being charged with multiple felonies. Forgery, fraud, identity theft, attempted grand larceny, conspiracy. With the evidence we have and his confession, he's looking at 5 to 10 years in prison. As the victim, you'll have significant input into the sentencing. You can push for the maximum sentence or you can request leniency. Treatment programs, probation, reduced prison time. But I need to be clear, Mrs. Mitchell. What your son did was extremely serious. He wasn't just trying to steal money, he was trying to erase your entire existence. Force you to disappear or spend years fighting to prove you were alive. That's not just theft, that's... She paused, searching for words. That's attempted erasure of a person. Shayla and I left the police station and sat in my car in the parking lot for a long time. What are you going to do, Mama? Shayla finally asked. I don't know. He's my son. He tried to steal your house. Fake your death. Make you disappear from the face of the earth. I know. We sat in silence. When did he become this person? I asked. The little boy I raised. He was sweet, gentle, kind. He cried when he saw injured animals. He helped elderly neighbors with their groceries. What happened to that boy? The gambling started in college, Shayla said quietly. Remember, he took that trip to Atlantic City with his friends and won $2,000. Came home talking about how easy it was, how he had a system. After Daddy died, it got worse. He couldn't hold a job, couldn't pay his rent. You bailed him out over and over. I know. Maybe that was my mistake. Maybe I enabled this by always rescuing him. This isn't your fault, Mama. You were being a mother. He took advantage of that. My phone rang. The jail. Terrence calling. He wants to talk to you, Shayla said, looking at the screen. Should I answer? That's up to you. I answered. Put it on speaker so Shayla could hear. Mom? Terrence's voice was small, broken. Mom, please. You have to help me. They're charging me with all these crimes. I could go to prison for 10 years. You tried to steal my house. Terrence? I was desperate. The loan sharks, they're serious people. They'll hurt me if I don't pay. The police told me the truth. You owe $85,000, not $200,000. You lied about how much you owed. Silence. You were going to steal $25,000 from me. Pay your debts with $85,000 and keep the rest. Probably gamble with it. One more big win, right? I wasn't. Mom, I swear. Don't lie to me anymore. Terrence, please. I can't take any more lies. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I just thought if I could just get enough money I could win it all back. Pay everyone. Start fresh. That's what addicts think. That's the disease talking. I need help, Mom. Real help. But I can't get help if I'm in prison for 10 years. Please. I'm begging you. Tell them you want leniency. Treatment instead of prison. Please. I didn't answer, I just hung up. 3 months later I sat in a courtroom watching my son plead guilty. He'd taken a plea deal to avoid trial. Pleaded guilty to all charges: forgery, fraud, identity theft, attempted grand larceny. Now we were here for sentencing. The prosecutor was asking for 8 years in state prison. Said Terrence was a danger to society, had shown sophisticated criminal planning, deserved the maximum sentence. Terrence's public defender, he couldn't afford a private attorney, was asking for probation and treatment. Said Terrence was sick, needed help not punishment, would be better served by addiction treatment than prison. The judge looked at me. Mrs. Mitchell, as the victim, you have the right to make a statement before sentencing. Would you like to address the court? I stood up. My legs were shaking but I kept my voice steady. Your Honor, 3 months ago my son tried to sell my house without my knowledge or permission. He created elaborate forgeries, fake medical records claiming I was dying of cancer, fake power of attorney documents, fake hospice admission forms. He planned to steal approximately $195,000 from the sale. He had a one-way ticket to Mexico. He was planning to leave the country with my money. We found evidence that he was planning to fake my death, to force me to disappear, to erase me from existence so no one would come looking for me or question where I'd gone. Terrence was crying in the defendant's chair, head in his hands. When I found out, I was devastated, not just by the crime itself, but by the betrayal. This is my son, the baby I carried and gave birth to, the child I raised and loved and supported through every struggle. I paid for his college education. I helped him when his businesses failed. I gave him money when he couldn't pay rent. I believed him every time he promised he'd stop gambling, get help, turn his life around. And he repaid all of that by trying to steal my home and erase my existence. The courtroom was completely silent. But, I continued, he's also sick. He has a severe gambling addiction that has completely destroyed his life and nearly destroyed mine. I don't want vengeance. Your Honor, I don't want to punish him out of anger or hurt, but I also can't ignore what he did. He needs to face real consequences. He needs to understand that actions have serious repercussions. So I'm asking the court to sentence him to prison time because what he did was a serious crime and he needs to be held accountable, but also to mandate comprehensive treatment, gambling addiction therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, financial counseling, whatever it takes to address the disease that drove him to this. The judge leaned forward. What length of sentence are you recommending, Mrs. Mitchell? 3 years in prison, Your Honor, with mandatory participation in all available treatment programs, and when he's released, continued probation with mandatory outpatient treatment and regular monitoring. He needs to learn that his actions have consequences. But he also needs help to fix what's broken in him. The judge considered this, looked at Terrence, looked at the case file, looked back at me. Mr. Mitchell, you are extraordinarily fortunate that your mother is a merciful woman. Many people in her position would be demanding the maximum sentence. I'm sentencing you to 4 years in the North Carolina state prison system. You'll be eligible for parole after serving 2 years, but only if you successfully complete all mandatory treatment programs. Upon release, you'll serve 5 years of supervised probation with mandatory gambling addiction treatment and financial counseling. You're also ordered to pay full restitution to your mother for all costs associated with your fraud, including the title loan you took out against her car, legal fees and counseling costs. Do you understand? Terrence nodded, unable to speak. Mrs. Mitchell, do you wish to say anything to your son? I looked at Terrence. He looked broken, defeated, nothing like the confident man who'd been signing documents at the title company 3 months ago. I love you, Terrence. I will always love you because you're my son. But I can't save you. You have to save yourself. Do the work. Get the help. Fix what's broken. Maybe someday we can rebuild our relationship. But that's up to you. I turned and walked out of the courtroom. Shayla followed me. We didn't look back. 6 months after Terrence was arrested, I was in my garden again, The garden where I'd been standing when Karen from the title company called. The garden at the house Terrence had tried to steal, but the house was still mine. I'd changed all the locks, installed a security system, updated my will with an attorney and created a real power of attorney, giving it to Shayla. I'd joined a support group for families of addicts. Learned that I wasn't alone, that other parents had gone through similar betrayals. I was seeing a therapist twice a month, processing the grief, the anger, the violation of having my own son try to erase me. It was getting easier. Some days were still hard, but most days I was okay. Terrence had written me letters from prison, long letters apologizing, explaining, begging for forgiveness. I read them all, but I didn't respond. Not yet. I need time, I told Shayla when she asked about it. Maybe someday I'll be ready to forgive him, but not yet. That's fair, Mama. He doesn't get to set the timeline for your healing. Today, Shayla had driven down from Raleigh to visit. We were having lunch in my kitchen. The kitchen in my house, the one Terrence had tried to steal. How are you doing, Mama? Really? I'm okay. Some days are harder than others, but I'm okay. Do you think you'll ever talk to Terrence again? Visit him in prison? I thought about it. Maybe. When he's really better, when he's done the real work to fix himself, not just going through the motions to get parole. But Shayla, I realized something important. His addiction, his debts, his life. Those aren't my responsibility anymore. For years I tried to save him, gave him money, believed his promises, enabled his addiction by always rescuing him. But I can't save him. Only he can save himself. I'll always love him. He's my son. But I'm done sacrificing my security, my peace, my life to fund his disease. He has to want to get better. He has to do the work, and if he does, maybe someday we can have a relationship again. But that's on him, not me. Shayla squeezed my hand. I'm proud of you, Mama. That's really healthy. It took almost losing everything to learn it. But better late than never. We spent the afternoon together just talking about her work at the hospital, her boyfriend, her life, normal things. Family things. The kind of afternoon Terrence had almost stolen from me forever. I'm Lorraine Mitchell. I'm 68 years old. 6 months ago I got a phone call that changed my life. We're ready to close on the sale of your property. Your son said you'd be signing remotely due to your health condition. I said, what sale? I'm not selling anything. The agent's voice changed. He's here right now with a buyer. He said you're in hospice and he has full power of attorney. I wasn't in hospice. I was healthy, standing in my garden, completely unaware my son was trying to steal my house. He'd forged documents, created fake medical records claiming I had terminal cancer, faked a power of attorney, planned to sell my $550,000 house for $85,000 and pocket the difference. He owed $85,000 in gambling debts but told me he owed $200,000. He was going to pay his debts and keep the rest. Maybe gamble with it, chase his losses one more time. He had a one-way ticket to Mexico. He was going to take my money and disappear, and he'd planned to make me disappear too. Fake my death, force me to vanish, erase me from existence so no one would question where the money went. I called the police, drove to the title company, walked in with 2 officers while my son was signing closing documents. The look on his face when he saw me, alive, healthy with the police. I'll never forget it. He was arrested, charged with multiple felonies, pleaded guilty. He's in prison now, 4 years, eligible for parole after 2 if he completes treatment programs. People ask if I'll forgive him. Maybe someday. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean pretending it didn't happen. He tried to steal my home, my security, my life. He tried to erase me so he could fund his gambling addiction. I'm 68 years old. I worked as an accountant for 40 years. Saved my money, bought this house, paid it off. It's mine, and no one, not even my son, gets to take that from me. I'm still here, still in my house, still gardening, still living, still standing. My son thought he could erase me with forged documents and fake death certificates. He learned different. I'm Lorraine Mitchell, retired accountant, homeowner, mother, survivor, still here, still standing, still in my house, and that's exactly where I'm going to stay.